YouTube, hello, welcome to another tier list on the channel. Why am I talking like this? So yeah, we are going to be taking a look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but we're going to be splitting it down into its phases, because if I were to do the Marvel Universe in its entirety, we're going to be here for days, and I don't think YouTube will allow me to upload more than 24 hours. We'll see. So yeah, we are going to be taking a look at the Marvel Phase 1 movies today. So these movies, if I'm not mistaken, there are 6 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6 films to go ahead and try and digest and try and fit into this tier list. So yeah, these films started off in 2008 with Iron Man, and they finished all the way till 2012 with the Avengers. That sort of culminated. I can't even say it. Culminated the previous films into one big massive film, and the rest is history. Basically, it just basically started a powerhouse of comic book movies that just absolutely catapulted the movie universe into just superstardom. It's crazy. So yeah, without further ado, let's kick off the first film that started it all, which was Iron Man, that released in 2008. So yeah, this film takes place with Tony Stark, that was played by Robert Downey Jr., who was like the perfect fit for Iron Man, Tony Stark, the perfect fit. I don't think you could ask anybody else in Hollywood to portray Tony Stark better than this guy. He basically lives and breathes Iron Man, Tony Stark energy. He is basically just him. Yeah, so this movie kickstarts the whole entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. This starts off with Tony being like the billionaire philanthropist that he is. He goes to like the Middle East for like a demonstration of like his weapons, to like, yeah, just like a demonstration, just to show off like, oh, this is what Stark Industries can do. Like, this is it, buy our shit, basically. Yeah, so then he gets ambushed and captured by the Ten Rings. I think they're called the Ten Rings. And then he is like forced to work on like an arc reactor. No, he's not forced to work on an arc reactor because he needed something to live, because he took a lot of shrapnel. So his heart was like attached to a battery, so he needed something to actually breathe, like to live. So he created the arc reactor. That's like his new heart, and that keeps him from dying. And then the Ten Rings order him to make his weapons for them, because they're like a terrorist group. They want to sort of like take on the world and like conquer the free world. That's basically their deal. So what Tony decides to do, he sort of like befriends the dudes that he is imprisoned with, and he creates the Mark 1 suit, let's say. Yeah, he creates the Mark 1 suit of the Iron Man suit to escape. And then over time, he does escape. Eventually, he loses his mate, who succumbs to like bullet wounds and bombs everywhere. So then like Tony gets picked up, and then he vows to then take down anybody that does everybody wrong. He tries to destroy his own products that have been sold to like terrorist groups and all that. He tries to basically become like a really, really good superhero. He wants to save the world from his own mistakes of his weapons and all that. So he does all that, and then Jeff Bridges, Obadiah Stane, in this film, he's like the mentor father figure for Tony. It turns out he was in like cahoots with the Ten Rings. He's the bad guy, and he wants to basically just be a bad dude. So he then he hurts Tony, and basically creates his own Iron Man suit, which is like the Ironmonger suit. So the Ironmonger was like a massive iron suit type of deal, and that was a really good end fight. I really enjoyed this movie. This movie was really, really good. And then they started introducing the concept of the end credit scene. So the end credit scene, like leading up to like the next film, or like trying to connect it a little bit more with like somebody else that's in the same universe. So with this one, if I'm not, I don't actually remember this one in all fairness, because I remember the one for Hulk, but I don't remember this one. I'm gonna have to go back and actually have a look at that one. But yeah, so I mean, without further ado, this one's gonna have to go into the Avenger category. So yeah, this one kicks off. So the Avenger category being like my S tier. This kicked off the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe. And yeah, what a way to actually start it off, because Marvel movies beforehand were like these cheesy comic book sort of like fairs that sort of took themselves seriously in some cases, but you know, they weren't connected in any way. But then Disney and Marvel decided to be like, right, we are going to connect everything, and this is what we have now throughout the entirety of 20 years almost. I can't believe it's almost been 20 years since this thing started. That's crazy. So yeah, the next film, this was The Incredible Hulk. That released in the same year as Iron Man. This released in 2008 as well. If I'm not mistaken, like a month or a couple of months after Iron Man. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, to give this movie credit, I really liked this movie. This movie was very, very, very good. This sort of takes inspiration from the 70s TV show. For those who do not know, there was a 70s film. There was a 70s film, but there was also a TV series on The Incredible Hulk. They didn't have any CGI or any models like that for Hulk. They had a dude that was a bodybuilder at the time, Lou Ferrigno. They basically painted him green and gave him shorts, and that is your Hulk. It was so good. It was so camp in some cases, but like it's the 70s. What are you gonna do? But yeah, this movie takes inspiration from that film. From the movie and also the TV series. It's heavily inspired by it, because you have Bruce Banner here, portrayed by Edward Norton, who is, in fact, my Bruce Banner. Mark Ruffalo, you're good, but the thing is, though, this guy should have been Hulk going forward, for sure. Yeah, so you have Bruce Banner here that is trying to experiment with gamma radiation. It goes horribly wrong, and then he sort of like he infects himself with like the gamma radiation, and every time he goes angry or he gets a little bit upset, he turns into this big massive green monster called the Hulk. Sort of like Marvel's own version of Jekyll and Hyde. It's great. But yeah, so like this causes Bruce to go on the run from the military, because technically he is like the military's property because of the gamma stuff. The military want the gamma radiation experiments, they want him, so he is on the run from the military. And also he's like a big massive green monster that could jeopardize the entirety of America and all that, so they want him under wraps. So he is on the run. He lives in Brazil, if I'm not mistaken, at the beginning of the film. Trying to live like a normal life. Trying not to get angry. He's got like a heart rate monitor, like wristwatch. So he can sort of monitor if he gets a little bit upset, or if his heartbeat starts to go a little bit erratic. That he can like sort of calm himself down, and he doesn't turn into the Hulk. Because he feels like he's a burden. He doesn't want to become the Hulk, so he just basically wants to live a normal life. So of course that doesn't last long, and he gets bullied by these dudes from his work, and then he turns into the Hulk, and he's like, oh no, he's like, shit's about to go down. So he then sort of, I think, yeah, he just goes back to, oh right, it's all coming back to me now. He's in contact with this guy called Mr. Blue, I think, because his name is Mr. Green, like his nickname is Mr. Green, on like this chat basically Facebook Messenger, but back in the day. Yeah, so he's in contact with this guy that might have the cure to getting rid of gamma radiation. So he goes back to America and tries to locate this guy that might know the secrets of getting rid of just the gamma and trying to live like a normal life. He tracks him down, but then he also comes in contact with Betty Ross, played by Liv Tyler in this film. She basically is like the love interest of Bruce Banner. And yeah, they go on the run together. Like, Betty tries to help Bruce get to Mr. Blue, and whilst trying to avoid the US military, and also Tim Roth's character. What the hell is his name? Polowski, I think his name was. He is like Abomination. He becomes Abomination in this film. You know, just trying to avoid those dudes. So then he finds Mr. Blue, but then it turns out like he can't really. Oh no, he does get rid of the gamma. He does get rid of it. But then, of course, he gets captured by the US military. But then, the final act of the film, Tim Roth's character becomes Abomination because he wants more from the Super Soldier Serum, because the US military gives Polowski Super Soldier Serum to go up against the Hulk if he needs to. But then Polowski is like, right, you know, I want more power, you know that gamma stuff that you got in that tube, give it to me. So I want to become like the next Hulk. That goes terribly wrong, and it becomes Abomination, which is like a much eviler like version of the Hulk. And then Bruce tries to change in midair, because like he's like on a helicopter at this point, and he wants to go back because Abomination is destroying the city. So he wants to go back and try and save everybody. But he doesn't have gamma radiation in him. But it turns out he has like a little bit more of gamma radiation in his body, and then he turns into the Hulk, and they have like this final act of like Hulk versus Abomination. It's pretty good. And then you have like the music in this film is great. The story in this movie is great. Everything about this movie is great. Absolutely love it. But yeah, like I said before, like Edward Norton, he is basically my Hulk. He is my Hulk. Mark Ruffalo is doing a good job at the moment, for the most part anyway. But I felt like we were a little bit robbed from having Edward Norton become Bruce Banner Hulk, because I had to look this up, like why he left, or like why they didn't continue with Edward Norton. But it turns out that there was like creative differences, and Bruce Banner's character and like Hulk's character should go in this direction, but Marvel wants a different direction. So they had like creative differences. So Edward Norton basically up and left, and then didn't continue with any more projects, which is very, very sad to hear and to see. But yeah, like it is what it is. If you have creative differences, then of course you have creative differences. You can't really stop it. But yeah, I mean, without further ado, I think I might have to put Hulk, the Incredible Hulk, in the S category, in the Avenger category, because I absolutely loved this film. This film was absolutely great. But yeah, there we go. Bam. So that goes into that category. I'm trying to get it the same level. There we go. Yep, so that goes into the my S category. The Incredible Hulk was incredible, funny enough. Right, so the next film. This is Iron Man 2. This came out in 2010, a couple of years after Iron Man 1. Takes place... Oh yeah, I forgot to mention about the end credit scene for the Incredible Hulk. It's basically Tony Stark going into a bar that General Ross is at the moment of that scene, and basically says that Tony's putting together a team, and then it cuts to black. Boom, there we go. You've basically set up like the Avengers. You basically started something, you know. If I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to remember the end credit scene for Iron Man 1. I think it's like Nick Fury going to, Nick Fury played by Samuel L. Jackson, going to Tony saying that he is trying to create a team, and then that cuts to black. So yeah, they're basically creating the Avengers. It's very good how they just basically connected everything together. It's so good. But yeah, Iron Man 2 takes place after Iron Man 1, of course, and it's Tony's being it's not prosecuted probably. Basically the government want the Iron Man suit because they feel like it's US government property. But Tony's like, you can't have it, basically, and like pieces out. But it turns out the thing that's inside Tony's chest, the arc reactor, is like poisoning him. So he has like, mood swings, he drinks, which basically happens in the comics. He becomes an alcoholic in the comics back in the day. But yeah, so like the thing basically is poisoning him, so Tony needs to create like a new element in order to live. But then they start connecting more and more characters. So you finally have Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow. You also have like a different guy playing Rhodes now. You have Don Cheadle. I think his name is Don Cheadle. I think his name is. It might escape me, but yeah, that's. I think that's his name. He is now Rhodes, aka War Machine, which is basically Mark II armor, but it is repurposed by the American government and also Sam Rockwell's character, Hammer, I think his name was Jonathan Hammer, I think. Jonathan Hammer is basically Tony Stark, but like not as successful in respect to like weapons and tech, that sort of thing. But yeah, so he creates War Machine. And then you also have Mickey Rourke's character, which is Whiplash. I think he was like a technician for like Stark Industries, like back when Tony's dad was part of the company, I think. Or he could be just a guy that's like a fanatic about like the arc reactor and like the Iron Man suit, that he creates his own arc reactor and is like the main bad guy for the movie. But yeah, this film was okay. I didn't think it was as good as the first one. I mean, it's still like a good a good flick to go and watch. But yeah, this was actually pretty okay. But yeah, I mean, without further ado, I think I might need to put this in the A category for me. But yeah, this wasn't actually that bad. It was okay. Let me just get it like that, and then bam. Put you in the A category. Just like this. There we go. So yeah, that goes in the A category for me. It's not peak storytelling and that. Well, I mean, the storytelling is good in it, but like it's not peak like the first Iron Man film is for me. But yeah, this is like my complete opinion, my my tier list. So I'd love to hear your tier list in the comments below. Always love to hear that. Right. So moving on. Right, Thor. So from the studios that brought you Iron Man, basically Marvel and Disney. There you go. So yeah, you have the first Thor film. To be fair, I mean this film is okay. But I didn't like this film. I mean, I don't mind this film. Like the whole cast, the casting is great, by the way. But yeah, I mean this is basically trying to set up the Avengers, So you got like Thor, you've got I think you've got Hawkeye, if I remember correctly. Hawkeye was in it. Jeremy Renner was in this film. But yeah, I mean you had Thor, being like not the ruler of Asgard, like an Asgardian warrior. He gets portaled to Earth. And then he tries to live life on Earth, tries to get accustomed to like Earth's customs. And then he falls in love with Natalie Portman's character. And then you have like Loki, that's like the main bad guy of the film, which is, Thor's brother. He has like this massive creature thing that has like a furnace for a head. It's your typical like superhero venture, basically. But yeah, I mean, I don't. This film, I don't. I don't. To be fair, I mean, this film, I don't. Let me just make it a bit smaller. For me, it's gonna have to go into this category, the C category, for me. I mean, it's okay, but the thing is, though, like I don't like it compared to, let's say, Iron Man and Hulk, that sort of thing. And I've only seen it like a couple of times, whereas I can see like Iron Man 2 and Iron Man, Captain America, Avengers. I can see those like multiple times. With Thor films, especially like the second film, I mean, like I don't like him. I just don't like him. Right, and now we have Captain America, the First Avenger, from the studio that brought you Iron Man and Thor, by the way, just in case you didn't know. Yeah, you have Captain America, the First Avenger. This was like the final solo film, in Phase One. You have Chris Evans as the legendary Captain America. You also have Sebastian Stan as Bucky. You have Peggy Carter. You have Tommy Lee Jones as like the general dude, and then you have Hugo Weaving as the Red Skull. So yeah, this takes place in Second World War, and this is like a great war film, but it's like a war film mixed with like superhero stuff. So you have like Chris Evans' character Steve Rogers, who wants to become like part of the army to try and do his country service in the Second World War. So Bucky gets enlisted, but of course Steve doesn't because he's a little bit he's not on the bulkier side. He's not really athletic. He's not. He's just basically like a little kid, but he's very determined to serve his country. So he gets enlisted for a super soldier program. The super soldier program is like this serum that you get injected with that makes you more buffier. You get jacked. It's amazing. You can run fast. You have like good strength. It's very 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 super soldier. It's like you're basically doing your country service if you want to do this program. So Steve is like, yeah, sure, I'll do this. And then he becomes Captain America, and then he thwarts Hydra's like plans. Hydra being like the main army of like the Red Skull. That's like the bad guys of this film. He thwarts like their plans. He destroys their equipment. And then he's like propaganda, like Captain America's propaganda for like the U.S. Military, which Steve didn't like because he just wants to serve his country. He's basically like a Boy Scout. He wants to serve his country. But yeah, so like the end of the film, Hugo Weaving's character Red Skull has like this thing called the Tesseract, which is like this little cube thing that has like unlimited power. But he has it, and it's up to Captain America to like save the day, of course. So he does eventually, and then it's like on top of this plane. It's like inside a plane, and then like in order for this plane full of explosives, I think to be destroyed without destroying everything else, Steve plummets the plane into cold water. Into like frozen water, and then he gets frozen. So then you sort of like time jump ahead to 2012 at this point, and now Steve is in the modern universe. But the thing is, though, he hasn't aged because he was frozen. But yeah, so like he's then like not captured, but like rescued by Shield, and Shield is the main guys now. Shield is like the US Secret Service. And then it sort of like cuts from there. But yeah, like this film was pretty good. It's pretty good. But yeah, without further ado, I'm gonna have to put this into the A category because like I said, like I really enjoyed this film. I thought this film was great. But yeah, there we go. Yeah, I thought this film was great. It's a good time. It's a good flick. And then of course it's sort of like is It's the solo final film. That's what I meant to say. Of like the phase one of films. Because then you have this film, The Avengers. So this is what 4 years at this point was leading up to. So of course you have Captain America, you have Iron Man, you have Thor, you also have Black Widow, and you also have Hawkeye. So these, and also Nick Fury, all of these guys were like all interconnected, and had their own solo films. But then you also have like sub characters that have been in like other films, so these characters. These are like well established characters. But then you have this guy at the end, behind everybody else. You have this guy. So this is now the Incredible Hulk from 2012 up until more recently She-Hulk. This is Mark Ruffalo's Hulk, which I am not a fan of. I do not like Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk. I mean, to be fair though, like he's basically given what he's given, and he tried to do his character justice. Like in the first film was okay for Mark Ruffalo. It was okay, but then like leading up to the next installments of like Avengers, and then you had She-Hulk. No, I can't deal with it. But he tried to do his best with what he had. So to give him credit, he tried to do his best. But yeah, this film was great. I absolutely loved The Avengers. I can't believe this is like already. This film is like already like 11 years old. It's crazy to think about. But yeah, so this is like a culmination of like every single hero we've had up to date. This is what 4 years have been leading up to. These are all well-established characters. You know their backstories, you know their origins, and you know who they are because you basically know what they've been doing for like the past 4 years. So Marvel has done very good in this respect of like creating a universe that you could get behind and you can get related to. It's great. So yeah, the main bad guy for this film is Loki, Thor's brother, and his stick is to conquer the world. So he wants the Tesseract. The Tesseract being that all-powerful cube that Red Skull had. I was always about to say Red Hood then, but yeah, that Red Skull had. He wants that, and he has that, and he is in cahoots with this thing called the Chitari, I think they're called. He's in cahoots with them to basically like overthrow the world, and then it's like a full-scale invasion of like the Chitari in Manhattan, and it's up to the Avengers to sort of like get along and to play ball and to basically become teammates in order to overcome this threat. So at the beginning of the film, they don't see eye to eye, especially Captain America and Iron Man. They don't see eye to eye because Captain America had Tony's dad as like a friend, and like they just don't get along. Like the Captain America doesn't like Iron Man because he doesn't have any superpowers. He's just a playboy billionaire philanthropist that just does what he wants, basically. So yeah, they don't get along, but like over the course of the film, they start getting along, and they all become friends and great teammates. But yeah, this film was great, and I believe the end credit scene for this film was like gearing up like the main bad guy that was going to be for like the Marvel Cinematic Universe at the time, which was Thanos. So yeah, they were really pushing. They were really pushing the boat and pushing the idea that we have now a cinematic universe that you can actually love, which I did. Yeah, I mean, without further ado, I'm gonna put this in the S category. So this film is great. But yeah, like this first phase of Marvel films was great. It was like the stepping stone of what a cinematic universe should have been. If you were to like create a franchise, this is how you go about it. You create solo films And then you have like this thing called like the end credit scene where you sort of like link movies together. You sort of like link, and then you have like this main massive film that fuses all of these solo films together. That you have like a main common goal for like everybody. They want to be the best that they are. So that's who you have. You have the Avengers that who want to like save the world and do it in the best way possible. But yeah, these films are great, especially like the top three, like Iron Man, the Incredible Hulk, and the Avengers. Phenomenal movies, especially like with the end of like Iron Man, where you know, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, so like the end of the film, he's like in this press conference, and like Shield wants Tony to say like, oh, just say it was like a massive leak or like a massive electricity fault. That's why there was like a massive blackout in the city. But like Tony's like, nah, you know what? Screw this. I'm gonna say basically I'm Iron Man, and then it cuts to credits. Like that's just great. But yeah, especially with Edward Norton as the Hulk, he's my Hulk. He should have continued as Hulk. He should have continued as Hulk. But yeah, those films are great. Again, like I can't get behind Thor. I don't know what it is about Thor. I just can't. I don't love it like the other films, like the other films in this in Phase One. I just don't like it as much as the other ones. But I could be completely wrong about that, and you could have like different opinions. So, like I said, this is like my own opinions. These are like my own thoughts, and they could be completely different from yours. So, I would love to hear your tier lists and your suggestions in the comments below. Always love to hear it. Always appreciated. But yes, guys, that's where I'm gonna have to cut it for this tier list. We have a long way to go. So we have three more. We have three more phases to go through, and as the phases go on, we have more and more films to digest and dissect and put into tiers. So yeah, I mean that's gonna have to cut it from me. I hope you've enjoyed it. You've seen. Like I said, I'd love to hear your comments in the comment section below. Always love to hear it. Always appreciated. And if you liked what you've seen, go ahead and subscribe. And also ring that bell to stay notified when I go live or when I do post videos. And yeah, thank you all so much again. Thank you so much, so much, so much. Always appreciate it as always. And I'll see you guys on my next video or stream. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Have a good one, guys. Adios.